In a way, we've kind of regressed back 2,000 years to when we literally lived in tribes. And you only ever hung out with people who looked like you, sounded like you, had the same attitudes, ate and drank like you, and so on, dressed like you, looked like you. And then they ventured out of their tribes after a few thousand years, and they met other tribes who looked different, sounded different, had different attitudes maybe. And the only answer both tribes came up with at the time was to kill each other. Well, we've regressed back to that on social media. It's become a screaming cesspit of hatred from one tribe to another. And I think both sides, I actually think the left have been worse, and they've become the new fascists in this. But I think the central concern I have is the inability we now have to do what you and I are doing right now.
It's a crazy world, crazy world. Somebody's gotta have to save you. It's a crazy world. It's a crazy world. Somebody's gotta have to save you.
You know, I spoke to Donald Trump the week after he was shot the first time, and he showed remarkable, I would call it balls of steel, both the first time and the second time. You know, he's bundled down again by Secret Service. Must have been terrifying because he hears the shots going off, which turned out to be the agent shooting at this guy. But apparently his first thought was, where are the other people who were on the course? Are they okay? And his second thought to Sean Hannity was, I'm really frustrated because I had a birdie putt and was playing really well. You know, this is the thing about Trump. Whatever you think of him, he's got balls, and he's shown it several times now. But as his son Eric said, you know, he's running out of lies. And I'll come to your bigger point question. But my immediate concern is someone who's known Trump for 20 years now and considers him to be a friend, albeit we've had a few bust-ups and occasional fallout, as a lot of people do with Trump, but we've fallen back in. And I just feel very strongly right now he's not being protected properly. And if he isn't, then another crazy will get through and they will kill him. And then what? Then where would that leave America? So, you know, what is the state of America like now? Well, like a lot of countries, I feel like the political discourse is getting poisoned by social media, and not in a good way. I think people are getting put into what they perceive to be their tribe on social media. Facts no longer seem to matter. They're not prepared to change their mind or admit they're wrong, as I just did earlier to you, and you were quite surprised. People don't really do that anymore because they don't like the fact that if that clip gets put on social media, all their fans, all their tribe will immediately go, oh my God, why did you do that? Why did you give them an inch, these people? Well, that's part of the problem. Part of the problem is we have forgotten how to debate like a proper society does, where you and I could have we could have had probably an hour-long debate about guns and gun control and all the rest of it. Second Amendment. We won't, because I don't want to bore your viewers, but we could have done.
I'll link everybody to you and Ben Shapiro, and they can decide.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, we could have done. But I would be damn sure if we did, however passionate and engaged that argument became, you and I at the end of it wouldn't fall out or want to kill each other. But in a way, we've kind of regressed back 2,000 years to when we literally lived in tribes. And you only ever hung out with people who looked like you, sounded like you, had the same attitudes, ate and drank like you, and so on, dressed like you, looked like you. And then they ventured out of their tribes after a few thousand years, and they met other tribes who looked different, sounded different, had different attitudes maybe. And the only answer both tribes came up with at the time was to kill each other. Well, we've regressed back to that on social media. It's become a screaming cesspit of hatred from one tribe to another. And I think both sides, I actually think the left have been worse, and they've become the new fascists in this. But I think the central concern I have is the inability we now have to do what you and I are doing right now.
Right. So what do we do about that? So if you and I are both in agreement on that, it can be a little more difficult to get guests on the left to debate, but you're saying it's not impossible, but it's just a thinner bench. It just obviously is. And that they've become a little more hysterical. I mean, you know this, you go to a Trump rally and you have gays for Trump and Latinos for Trump and blacks for Trump, and it's a celebration of America and everything else. So what do you do in a media environment where we have, you know, roughly dishonest mainstream media, and now I would say a wide tent Republican Party here, And another party that I don't think it's hyperbole that to say they don't really like America. I mean, that's what they say themselves. So what do you do about that? I mean, I think that's what everyone's thinking about now constantly.
Well, the biggest scourge of society in the last 5 to 10 years has been the rise of the woke virus, as Elon Musk calls it, the woke mentality, stroke cancel culture, where it seems to me that the left have morphed a lot of them. And this is where people like Bill Maher and I, who have a lot in common, politically probably, slightly old-fashioned, slightly centre-left guys, feel completely alienated from what anything on the left or liberal has become. Because the woke left is so extreme, it's become, ironically, the very kind of fascism it professes to hate most. It believes in destroying people for having opinions they don't like, or for reading books they don't like, or for admiring pieces of history they don't like, or for liking a problematic movie or television show or a record, whatever it may be. And it's riddled with hypocrisy. I mean, one of the best examples would be when John Lennon decided to unilaterally rewrite the lyrics to Baby It's Cold Outside. Because he had decided this was encouraging sexual assault. Now, anyone who's watched the video for that original song from the 60s knows it's actually one of the most harmless and kind of fun and warm examples of consensual, sexual, whatever you want to call it, but the most tame kind of courtship process going on. What it's not is sexual assault. And the moment you have someone like John Legend doing that, but conveniently not doing that to any of the hardcore, often disgusting and repellent, misogynist rap lyrics that his rap friends were doing. And I called it out at the time and went, this is the problem, is that he would rather take the cheap hit and the cheap likes on social media for rewriting as this great hero to the feminist world of the woke left, rewrite Baby It's Cold Outside, but would do nothing about the disgusting lyrics of his rap mates.
If you're looking for more uncensored opinions from today's thought leaders, check out our media playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist, all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.